using, and you know what? Screw it. I have time today, and this video is going to be long. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Gloss Garage, where we make detailing simple. My name is Sock, and today I have something special for you guys. So first off, this video will be a discussion on a couple of comments I've been getting in the past couple of months on what brand makes the best products, or which product from a specific brand is the best. For example, which iron remover is the best from a specific brand, and so on and so forth. So this way they could build an arsenal of a mix and match of brands to make their own personal lineup. So first off, this community has been growing in the past 8 to 9 months, and I thank every single one of you guys. And I've always said this in my recent videos, and even not mostly on my recent videos, but in a couple of my recent videos here and there, or even definitely before in my earlier videos when I first started my channel, I always said that no specific brand makes the best everything. And I've even said this on Eddie's podcast back in September, where I said no specific brand makes the best everything. If we're talking about a cohesive lineup, meaning say there's 15 products and 9 out of those 15 are great, or 10 out of those 15, that means you have like a 75% success rate with all those products. But you have certain brands that, they have 15 products and only 6 of them or 7 of them are effective for me. Why? Because I detail outside, but we'll get more into that in the future, because that is part of another question as well that I get asked. So that's number one. Number two is, a lot of us content creators, we make these videos to show the quality in these product lines. So for example, I can name like 10 or 15 off the top of my head, but for example, Eddie Cologne, Carlos Serrano's, Phil from Miranda Detailing, Mike G, I'm Josh V, Jamie the Cleaner, Luke from Luke Wilson from Auto Detailing, and so on and so forth. We all make these videos to show that these products are still effective. It's just that certain product lines work best for certain environments. So that's something that I really want to showcase in terms of that context. So let's get started with the video. All right, so for the first question I have here is, who makes the best products, or which company makes the best products? So first off, like I stated in my intro, is there are a bunch of great product lines out there, and I'm gonna name 10 or even more that I can name off the top of my head that makes great products, and they all make quality products. We have 3D products, Skrill's Garage, even Adams Polishes. You have Ethos Car Care. You have Labo Cosmetica, DIY Detail, McKee's 37, Geon, Car Pro, G Technic, Owner's Pride. Old Burke makes some decent stuff. All these product line make great things. Even the Maniac line, and what else I have up here? PNS, Coach Kemi. All these products make, even MV. They all make, there's a lot of great product lines out there. It's just, what is the best for you? So let's start off with that, with that answer right there, is what is the best for you? Are you a mobile detailer, or are you a garage detailer? Because I can name products for myself based on experience for the past 5 to 6 years on which works best for me, because I am technically a mobile hybrid detailer. When I mean a mobile detailer, I started off as a mobile detailing business first, and I was always in search of what is the best product line. So I would grab Car Pro, for example, and even G Technic, and I would use them outside on my mobile details, and they weren't as effective, or I had to work quickly because they weren't that safe for direct sunlight. Those type of companies that, and I'm speaking on experience, Geon, Car Pro, G Technic, Angel Wax, all these products are great for the garage detailer, from based on experience that I've noticed for. They're not great in sun-friendly environments. So that's something that I need to stress out as well. They work phenomenally well if you work in an inside indoor climate. They work great. But that is something that I found out that doesn't really work well for me. So I'm always in the search for something that is great in terms of hybrid. Is it safe, to wash and use in direct sunlight? Are you the person that is looking for dilutable products? Are you looking for something that's just ready to use because you don't want to dilute products? Are you looking for cost and budgeting? There's a bunch of variables, but all in all, that's something that you as a person need to look for, and that's something that us content creators try to give back to you. So that's number one in terms of who makes the best products. You have a bunch of quality products, but as a cohesive product line, I'm going to tell you which I prefer and why I use them. Is one, I will start off with dilutable products. So example, Labo Cosmetica makes the best cohesive products in terms of what? For myself is, as of right now, I enjoy their cleaning lineup or car prepping lineup. Why do I say that? Is you have their 3 pH system that is safe for, outside cleaning, indirect sunlight. You guys see me foam, the actual, alkaline products, acidic soap, indirect sunlight on a black Mercedes-Benz. You even saw it steaming a little bit on the roof, and the owner of the vehicle was watching me prep the vehicle, and no streaks, no staining, no nothing. Effective product line in that sense. You could use their iron remover, dilutable as well. Why? Because you could dilute it 1 to 3, 1 to 5, 1 to 1, depending on the strength, and you could use that in direct sunlight. But the smell, you spray it first, and then the smell, dissipates quickly, but the smell is still there. So that's number one. That's number two is their iron remover. Then, what else? Their glass cleaner. Fantastic glass cleaner. The best glass cleaner I've ever used. Period. So there's a bunch of things that I liked about that Labo Cosmetica lineup in terms of that's the ease of use and it's safe. Now, in terms of their ceramic coatings, I'm not really a huge fan of their coatings, especially their prosumer coatings, because typically they work best if you layer it using a dual layer system, and that's kind of like, Geon, when they had, you had to use Geon molds and you had to use skin to get those hydrophobics and that extra water repellency. Those are stuff from the past that I don't truly enjoy. I prefer 1 layer systems. Now, if you're using it as a professional grade where you need 2 layers and now you're charging for a professional grade ceramic coating with years of longevity and warranty, that's something different. Now, are you talking about a DIYer that doesn't want to dilute anything, because most of Labo Cosmeticas are dilutable, which is great at a great cost. But say you're a DIYer and you only have 1 to 2 vehicles. Am I going to tell you get Labo Cosmetica lineups? Possibly not, right? Because you as a DIYer, a lot of DIYers like to change their product lines here and there. My job isn't to make somebody else, a business enthusiast. This channel is mainly for detailing. What makes it simple? What kind of results can you get? And showcasing different products and my journey on what is the best products that I want to use in my detailing business and what works for me. This is the reason why I do this channel, so all of you guys don't have to deal with, the mishaps of buying something that you don't enjoy. So yeah, so now as a DIYer is what is the best cohesive lineup? And I could name those off the top of my head. You have the DIY Detail. You have Owner's Pride. You have Griot's Garage as a DIY enthusiast that makes great stuff. Ethos Car Care. You have, what else? McKee's 37. These product lines are great that I prefer as a cohesive lineup for the DIY, because most of those products you don't have to dilute. They're ready to use and they will last you a while if you have 1 to 3 vehicles. And then once you're done, you could use a different lineup, venture off, whatever you want to use. So that's something in terms of what brand makes the best products. And I just named it and categorized it on, is it dilutable, ready to use? And now we're up to the context on how great they are in versatile environments. Now, what I mean versatile environments is, does it work great in the winter? Does it work great in the summer? Is it sun friendly? So now we're going to talk about that. So first off is DIY Detail, safe in direct sunlight. You have, but when I mean safe is, of course, in the hot months, don't let it sit there and dry on the paint. Don't be, you know, don't don't be ignorant on stuff like that. But that's something that, it's some stuff are self-explanatory for that thing. But most of them are safe to use in direct sunlight. Same thing with McKee's 37. Same thing with Owner's Pride. But certain products, if you're going to use a ceramic detailer or you're going to use something that has SiO2 on it, of course you're going to get streaking. But in terms of their cleaning products, such as shampoo, alkaline soaps or APCs, they have definitely gotten a lot safer than those old school types of APC like Multi-X from CarPro, where they ended up staying stagnant, and you would spray that in direct sunlight, and I've actually gotten staining where I had to polish the vehicle off. So that's something that, again, everybody needs to do their research, and this is why most of us content creators are here to provide that information to you. So that's pretty much it, is, dilutable products for the DIYers or the enthusiasts, and is it going to work in a variety of environments. And the last couple of products that I named, I've said it because they work for me in detailing environments. So that hopefully answers the question of what makes the best which brand makes the best products, and no brand makes the best of everything. Now, the second question I got asked is, what is the best products for myself that I use in my everyday business and which brand I prefer? But I'm going to categorize them on what works for me based on the environment, right? What is it that I'm working with? Is it wintertime? Is it summertime? Which one gives me the best range, right? So that's something I need to clear things up. So first off, let's start off, for example, ceramic coatings. Which ceramic coatings actually work for me in literally 40-degree weather? And we all know from the previous coating, which we used was the Cerakote coating, is I did it in 55-degree weather and it didn't cure properly. I let it sit there for 5-10 minutes, even more. Some panels have 13 minutes and it still didn't cure properly, right? So, that is a ceramic coating that just doesn't work for me in my environment. Now, I have ceramic coatings that have stuck in at 40-degree weathers that I've enjoyed using, and I can name them to date. Owner's Pride ceramic coatings works phenomenal. I've used them in 40-degree weather, stuck on, no issues, still going strong. DIY detail ones, they're 5-year coating, etc. If you watch my previous videos, it was like 45 degrees inside the garage, and I'm, recoating a Subaru, and they work for, cured perfectly well, right? Labo Cosmetica, not the easiest coating to use, but still applied it in 40-degree weather. G-Technic, I'm not a huge fan of CSL, but CSL stuck onto the paint. So these are things that are raw coatings. Same thing, works phenomenally well. I put the base coat in the hardener, and I even put the base coat in my vehicle before I stripped it off, and it was still going strong. And that was going on for close to 3 years, and I just put the base coat. So that's something that people need to understand, is what is it that you're looking for? And for myself, is those brands work amazingly well in a wide range of temperatures. Now, in terms of iron removers, what do I prefer? So there is a example for a double-edged sword. Do you want something that doesn't stink and isn't as effective? Well, unfortunately, for my detailing, is I found out that Stoners doesn't really embed itself into the pores and makes that bleeding action as much as possible, but it does clean fairly well. But is it for something that's heavy brake dust and heavily embedded contaminants? I found out that a stronger, dedicated iron remover works well, like Decon X, DIY Details, iron remover, CarPro X. Same thing with Sidero from Labo Cosmetica, and so on and so forth. Those are the ones that I prefer to use on heavily contaminated vehicles because they tend to work better for myself. Now, the bad thing is that I'm going to smell like, booty and dong for the day because I am using those chemicals. So that is something that you need to be wary of. Now, if I'm going to categorize those iron removers that I really enjoy to use and which I would choose out of the top two, I would say this. I would use Sidero just because it's dilutable, and you could dilute it 1 to 3, 1 to 1, and the smell dissipates quickly. but it's not as slick when you're using it with the clay towel. Now, if I'm using DIY Detail, it's a phenomenal one. Same thing with Dion X, because it's much more lubricious when I'm using it with the clay towel. I will never use Car Pro X with a clay towel to, decon and clay at the same time, because for some reason it just doesn't work well. It's very grabby and it's just not lubricious. So those are my top 3 iron removers. So those are examples, and the list goes on. If you guys want a product, which ones I prefer to use and why, that's about it. So yeah, so that's it. Is hopefully that answers the question on which are the best products for myself, and that's just an example of what I enjoy using. And you know what, screw it, I have time today and this video is going to be long. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go down the list. So we already said on what are my favorite iron removers. Now let's go to my favorite car shampoos. Now if we're talking about alkaline and acidic soaps, let's start with it. If you're a garage detailer, Car Pro D-Scale and Car Pro D-Scale is a phenomenal acidic car shampoo to break down those car minerals. But if you're going to use it in direct sunlight, you have to work fast. Now if you're going to use Labo Cosmetica, I prefer Purifica, because I could use it in direct sunlight, doesn't stain paint, and you can let it dwell there for as long as possible. So that's something that I use day in and day out is Purifica, and I recommend Car Pro D-Scale. That's for me. Now as for the high alkaline soaps, I prefer Primus and Built Amber Touchless. Why do I prefer those two? Well, first off, Touchless is actually a very strong high pH, but if you're using that in direct sunlight, be careful because you will stain plastic and glass. Ask me how I know. I stained one of my customers, Nissan Rogue, the whole trim, and I had to do a whole trim restore on that whole thing. And this was about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. Before I started doing the detailing channel. So yeah, a little over 2 years ago, and I had to use Solution Finish. So that's something that happened. Now I prefer Primus. Why? Because I can use it in direct sunlight and it doesn't stain plastic or glass or anything. So that is number 1. That is number 2. So that's it. So I've already said my favorite iron removers, and I've already said my favorite, car shampoo, alkaline car shampoo and acidic car shampoo. Now let's talk about pH neutral car shampoos. And I don't use typically pH neutral car shampoos. I like to use pH balance, which are great, shampoos because they have a little bit more cleaning power. And which ones do I prefer? And these are all off the top of my head. And this is how I know I'm giving you genuine answers, because these are the things that pop up to my head right away. I don't have, I'm not walking around grabbing the products and thinking of it. I'm just telling you first choice of thought of why I picked those products. So first off, for the pH neutral, but I prefer pH balance. So that's it. Is Incredible Suds from DIY Detail, great cleaning power. PNS Pearl Shampoo, and even Coach and Semper from Labo Cosmetica is another one. Now I know Owner's Pride Ultra Wash is a pH neutral shampoo or balance, but I typically don't like that shampoo. It smells great, but for me it doesn't have that crazy cleaning power. But those are my top 3 pH balance shampoos that I enjoy, or that has great cleaning power that I've used to date. So that's that. Next up, let's talk about my other favorite products, and these are panel preps. Now, in terms of panel prep, I only really enjoy panel preps that are lubricious, and I will name my top 4 panel preps that I really enjoyed that I've used thus far. I'm not going to say Labo Cosmetica Veritas because I only used that twice, and that's not fair to say. But for Phoenix EOD Peleus panel prep, I've used that about, I think I have it back here. I used this on like 4 vehicles, and it is a fantastic panel prep. It is slick. I like panel preps that are lubricious and slick. So Peleus panel prep, DIY Detail panel prep, Owner's Pride panel prep, even McKee's SiO2 coating prep spray, series. Those are the panel preps that I really enjoy, and I could say you cannot go wrong with either or. Just certain ones have better cleaning capabilities, and some have better odors. Some are stronger in smell. So for example, the DIY panel prep has a strong odor, Peleus panel prep doesn't have, is like medium, and then you have McKee's 37 coating prep spray, which is pretty much smells like bubblegum. So these are things that you need to try out for yourself and see which one you use. You will never use a panel prep in direct sunlight, so that's something to get that out of the way. But those are the ones I really enjoy and that I found that are effective for multiple different brands of products. I've tried to use Car Pro Eraser before, you know, but for me it just doesn't work well. And then G-Technics panel wipe, we all know that's a super strong panel wipe, and what happens is I've gotten little bumps or little staining drops when I sprayed it directly on the panel, or even when I wiped it I had these streaks of just leaving it there because it was just a warm panel. So all in all, the top 4 panel preps that I picked that has not stained anything yet are those is Peleus, Owner's Pride, DIY Details, and McKee's 37, and they're lubricious as well. My favorite primer polishes. Now, I haven't showcased the Dr. Beasley NSPs because the last time was I used the NSP 95, and that will leave a ghosting effect on the panel heavily. So I ended up, you know, I was talking to Eddie about this a couple weeks ago, but he says that the NSP 95, I forgot which one we were talking about. So one of them leaves a ghosting effect, but ones I haven't used was definitely the 45. And why I enjoy the panel prep, or not the panel prep, the primer polish from Dr. Beasley, is because they work for all coatings and you could coat right away. Now, I have Fierro from Labo Cosmetica, and I'm not going to talk about it because I only use that primer polish for their coating only, as opposed to Dr. Beasley, where I've applied raw coatings, Car Pro UK 3.0, G-Technic CSL. I've applied different brands of coatings on that primer polish, and they still going strong. So that is my favorite primer polish. Now I could talk about the ones I dislike, and I will talk about the primer polishes I dislike, and I will tell you why. So Geon, their primer polish is, I don't know if you remember, but a couple years ago, I think they changed their formula up. But a couple years ago, when you had their primer polish, you would use it on the paint and you had to wait 12 to 24 hours before you could coat right away. And I think they specifically said for Geon, most coatings. So that's out the window. I'm not going to use something that I have to wait 12 to 24 hours to use. Car Pro Essence. If you use Car Pro Essence, for some reason on the bottle, they will tell you to use Car Pro Eraser on top of it. So is it a primer polish or is it not a primer polish? You understand what I'm saying? So that's something that I disliked. So that's why I choose Dr. Beasley primer polish to be my favorite primer polish before ceramic coating. Next up will be water spot removers. So which ones are my favorite water spot removers? And I will tell you, based on ease of use, I prefer the DIY Detail Water Spot and the Owner's Pride Spotless, because I can use them a little bit in direct sunlight. Now in terms of cost, I would prefer the Anejo from Labo Cosmetica. Why? Because it's dilutable, and also it actually really helps to remove those lime scaling marks off the paint. And if you really need to, you could dilute it 1 to 2, but you're going to have to tape off the rubber trim and definitely use it in the shade. If not, you will stain the heck out of your paint. But that's the two that I enjoy using the most. But if you're a DIYer and you wash your car outside, I say get the Owner's Pride Spotless or the DIY Detail Water Spot Remover. You can spray it off, unclog your coating, and just keep using it as often as possible. So those are it for water spot removers. Yes, have I used 3D eraser before? I have. Not that great. Have I used Optimum's MDR? I have, and this MDR is still old as crap. This MDR is old, but I've used it before. Is it a bad one? No, but it's not my favorite. So, like I said, for my favorites are those top 3. If you're doing this outside, get the Owner's Pride and DIY Detail. If you have a garage and you're able to drive it in, do it in your garage and get Labo Cosmetica's Anejo and dilute it however you feel that is needed. So that's it for water spot removers. Now let's talk about polishes in general, polishes and compounds. So let's start off with my favorite compounds and why I use it. So my favorite compound I like to use is the Last Cut Plus. I like to use And that's pretty much really it. Oh, Griot's Garage Fast Correcting Cream, fantastic one. But the only difference between those two really is this. The Last Cut, you don't have to tape off plastic trim, and I don't polish on high speed setting either, meaning I don't do speed 6. If you do anything on the polisher past speed 6, now you're just heating up the panel and damaging the plastic. If you're polishing on speed 4 and using the Last Cut, you're not going to damage the plastics, which is great. You could and that's what I prefer, is efficiency. Now, if you're using the Fast Correcting Cream from Griot's Garage, is you need to tape off the plastic and you prefer to work in a cooler environment. But the product is phenomenal. Those, to me, are the two best compounds I've ever used, and that's literally it. The only advantage that I picked the Last Cut is you can use indirect sunlight on a hotter panel because it was made from Jay Price, and he is a detailer from Las Vegas, and he started off mobile and wanted something that he could use in direct sunlight and then not have to tape off plastic trim. And that is a diminishing abrasive that finished down nicely, so you don't have to do a multiple step afterwards, meaning that you don't have to use a polish and then a finishing polish to get great results because it finishes down nicely. Now, Griot's Garage is just, you just have to tape it off, be in a cool shaded area, but it is a diminishing abrasive. It cuts down super fast and finishes down glossy, but it makes it a lot easier and get a glossier finish because now you're just using a polish to finish that off. So those are my two favorite compounds of all time that I've used. Now, let's talk about my favorite polishes. So I'm just going to say it off the top of my head. I prefer the Gold Standard. And in a way, it's an all-in-one polish. 90% of my customers, I live in the hood. None of these people want perfect cars. They just want shiny, clean paint. And if I could do a one-step using a wool pad from DIY Detail or even Rupes coarse wool pad, do a quick one-step because that polish, it cuts very well and finishes down super nice. I'm going to use that. I'm not doing show cars. I probably do like one crazy supercar, 2 to 3 supercars a day that I just don't record because the owners don't want me to record that video. But I do a couple supercars here and there, or even just crazy expensive vehicles, but they don't want me to do it. But those are rare instances. 90% of it is for you guys. Not everybody that watches my channel is driving a supercar. Everybody wants to learn how to detail and make the right decision for their thing. So that's why I like the Gold Standard polish. It's a hybrid, compound / polish for pretty much 75% of your work. And the next polish that I enjoy is OP Compound. Although it says compound, but you could use it as a compound and a polish. Works fantastically well. 3D1 works fantastically well as an all-in-one, as a hybrid compound and a hybrid polish that finishes down nicely. Now, if I was to go into categories of each one, which one I prefer is, out of all three, in terms of ease of use and gloss, I go with the Gold Standard. In terms of a little bit cutting capabilities, I will go with the best cutting capability is 3D1. But if you want to go straight down the middle and get the best of both worlds, I would say it's OP Compound. But the problem with OP Compound is I don't like, again, the pea-size drop. 95% of the work, if we're pulling hairs here, I could just easily spray the trigger and that's it. And one thing I did say, and I've always said to myself with the NSP polishes from Dr. Beasley, is you only use one pea-size drop for the entire pad. So Dr. Beasley, if you can make a sprayable NSP polish, which makes sense, so you could get all those dots all around the pad, make one that's sprayable. It's not that, I don't know, I just feel like that would be something that's awesome, because just to put one little pea-size drop on the entire pad is to me still, I know it works well, it's super lubricious, but I don't know, I just don't like that. You just make it sprayable, so now every pea-size drop is technically the same, so you just tell them spray the trigger hard. That's all you need to polish the entire area that you need to with the primer polish. So yeah, that's about it for the polishes. Now in terms of finishing polishes, I barely don't use it because, like I said, I'm not doing multi-step corrections. 90% of the time they're either one steps, or if I'm doing a two-step, I will still use either OP compound or the hybrid compounds and polishes, because 90% of them aren't really going for perfection, or they're super neglected. If it's very hard clear coat, then I will step up and use the Last Cut or Fast Correcting Cream from Griot's Garage. Now let's talk about all-in-one polishes. One of my favorite all-in-one polishes, I will give you 3 of them. The Drive Automotive Appearance AIO all-in-one. I love that one. Rupes Uno Advanced. Now, which one I prefer more is the Drive Automotive Appearance and even Infinite Gloss Ceramic and Polish. So I like this one as well. So those are my top all-in-one polishes that I really enjoyed. I used to use the Blackfire all-in-one, but you know, it's not really the best for me anymore. I don't really like that. But those were my go-to at the time. But these are the ones that I can name off the top of my head. And like I said before, this is how you know it's just genuine. It's the Drive Automotive Appearance, both of them. The ceramic one and their all-in-one one, Uno Advance. And yeah, so that's pretty much it that I have off the top of my head that I really enjoy using. But those are rare instances. Those are only for those vehicles that say they bought a brand new car 2023 last year and they want to polish the car this year. You don't need anything aggressive. That is just enough to do it, and depending on the budget of the customer. Next up is my favorite wheel cleaners. Now, I have 3 wheel cleaners and everybody has their own, so use as is. The wheel and tire cleaner from Extra Tough works amazingly well for me. Why? Especially wintertime. You can use it as a waterless wash for the wheels and tires, which works fantastically well. No, it doesn't foam up as much as you really want it to, but we're talking about little instances here and there on where we need to use these certain chemicals, and this is where it goes down. It works well. Scrub it with a towel, scrub it with a brush, dry it off with a towel. You can work in direct sunlight. It's not going to damage anything. Now, the most recent one that I really enjoyed is Maniac's Wheel and Tire. Fantastic. Dilutable 1 to 5, 1 to 10. It's a dilutable product. Cleans super well. If you guys haven't seen, you know, the king of all wheel cleaners, that is a phenomenal product, and it foams very nice, even at a 1 to 5 dilution ratio. Adam's Wheel and Tire Cleaner, another fantastic one. So those are my top 3 that I really like. Now, which ones I don't like, but a lot of people is like, oh, PNS has those rust inhibitors. I'm like, yo, bro, really? You're going to be driving in the wintertime in salt in New York, and when you're driving past there and your rotors are hot and your brake pads are hot and water gets in there and salt and stuff, you're telling me that PNS Brake Buster is going to clean that and inhibit all those rust? You haven't washed your car in 6 weeks, bro. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like I just don't like the PN, and this is why I prefer the brands that I just said, because PNS is, even at straight, I've diluted Adam's Wheel Cleaner 1 to 1, cleans better than PNS. I've diluted Extra Tough Wheel and Tire Cleaner 1 to 1, still cleans better than PNS. So these are something that I like to say straight up, and look, it works for me. It doesn't really matter. It just works well for me. So that's something that, those are my top wheel cleaners: Adam's Wheel and Tire Cleaner, Maniac's Wheel and Tire, and Extra Tough Wheel and Tire Cleaner. So, you know, it is what it is, and that's it. Now, if we're talking about hybrid wheel and tire cleaners where they have iron remover, Oberk makes a great one. Great wheel and tire cleaner. And no cap, Stoner's iron remover and wheel cleaner. Fantastic wheel cleaner. Now, is it going to brown up and you know, really heavily attack those irons as much? No. But why do I like that? Because it doesn't stink. I don't have to smell like booty and dong, but at least I've deconned the wheels and tires. Now, one thing is, the other negative note is it stains concrete. They're coming out with another batch. I don't know when, but when they're making that new batch, it's not going to stain concrete. And it's not, I think they said it in Eddie's podcast, that it's not going to do the color change as well. So now it's just a 50-50. But that's something for, in terms of wheel cleaners and tire cleaners. So that's it. I like to use a wheel and tire cleaner. I don't like to use a specific wheel cleaner. and that's it. But if I have to use a wheel cleaner, I'm using a wheel cleaner with iron remover properties. So that's it. Next up is APCs. Which APCs I enjoy and why I enjoy it. So I'm not going to speak on Ductile or Ductale from Labo Cosmetica because I haven't tried that out yet, and I'm not going to voice on something that I haven't tried out. So put that out the window. But as of right now, my favorite APCs that I use are these, and I will tell you why. So Owner's Pride Grime, DIY Detail All Clean, Extra Tough APC. Those are my favorite ones that I found that works phenomenally well across all boards. Well, why did I choose that APC? Well, OP Grime, and you know what? No lie, I'm going to add this in here that a lot of people sleep on, is Chemical Guy's Invisible. Bro, that all-purpose degreaser cleaner is fantastic. So I'm going to put those four there. Those are fantastic all-purpose cleaners, and a lot of people is like, which APC is the best? I'm like, look, I like Invisible because it doesn't smell. It's nonsense. It doesn't smell. And it's dilutable. If you get it on the gallon, works fantastic well. Extra Tough APC smells like grapefruit. I enjoy it, and it's environmentally friendly. So that's why I prefer that one. And it's biodegradable, so I use that one. Owner's Pride Grime is fantastic to unclog coatings, but it's way too strong for the interior. So that's something I really want you to know. It's super strong. DIY Detail All Clean is fantastic as the best of both worlds. Meaning what? It foams up nicely if you put it inside a foamer. It's at a 30-to-1 dilution ratio. It works fantastically well for the interior, and that's it. The APC from Extra Tough is great, but if you dilute it 1-to-10, it's not really safe for coatings that I've noticed. It really diminishes coatings significantly, but it cleans wheel and tires great, but the dilution isn't as safe as Owner's Pride Grime and DIY Detail. But like I said, if you want the best of both worlds, get the DIY Detail All Clean one, and that's about it. But if you're cleaning wheels and tires, I prefer the Extra Tough APC over the DIY Detail All Clean. So there's different factors that everybody has to know, and this is why I said not every brand makes the best everything. Just use whatever you feel that works, and that's it. But if you wash your car frequently, meaning once every 3 weeks or so, just get the DIY Detail All Clean. You'll be just fine. Nothing happens. Or just, like I said, just get a wheel and tire cleaner. Get the Maniac one, Extra Tough wheel and tire cleaner, and you're pretty much set to go. Or Adam's wheel and tire cleaner. Just Adam's wheel and tire cleaner is very too strong, and I don't like the smell of the kickback. But that's it. So we're done with APCs. I've already said my stuff about wheel and tire cleaners. Now let's talk. In terms of sealants, they all work fantastically well. I have nothing bad to say for each one. Now the ceramic detailer will streak in sunlight. Same thing with DIY details. Same thing with the Labo Cosmetica one. The one thing I noticed is the Labo streaks the least. But again, we're talking about direct sunlight. Anything with SiO2 content is going to streak on the paint. But the SiO2 quick detailer from Labo Cosmetica doesn't last and isn't as durable claims as the Owner's Pride or the DIY Detail one. But that's another thing I want to talk about is durability. A lot of people think is, oh, they sold me a sealant that's 8 to 12 months. I'm like, bro, you drive the car every day. You wash your car once every 6 weeks. It's not going to last the 8 to 12 months. And that's something people need to understand. If you're not maintaining your last standing protection, it's not going to last. That's the same thing with a ceramic coating. I had a customer, if you watch my DIY Detail 8-year video where I said, did the DIY 8-year coating fail? On a Honda, I put an 8-year coating on that. The customer only washed the car 3 times in its past 7 months when it got the coating, and it was super clogged. Are we going to blame the ceramic coating for failing, or are we going to, try to hold a couple of things or a couple of people accountable for something that, they need to take care of? It's the same thing with your teeth. If you're going to eat candy every day and you're not going to brush your teeth, I bet you if you do that every single day and then go to the dentist in a year, your teeth will be shot compared to somebody that brushes their teeth every day and doesn't eat candy. So we need to take these variables and put them into perspective and start holding not just the detailer accountable, but also the customers accountable, because we want the best for the customer. And this is why I tell my customers, how do you wash your vehicle? And if they say, oh, I only wash it like once every 6 weeks. And I'm like, look, you don't need a coating, sir. I'm not going to sell you a coating because you're going to ask for a 3-year coating or the best coating, and it's not going to last the way you want it to last. So that's that with sealant. They all work fantastically great. In terms of durability, I'm not going to claim durability because all my customers are different. I could put the same sealant on 30 different customers that I have, and if I see them all in 4 months, I guarantee you, or if I see them in 6 months, when they come back, I guarantee you all of them will have different results in terms of durability. So sealants, that's about it. They all work fantastically well, but which one streaks the less is the one that I want, or which one has the better durability claim is the one that I want. But in terms of gloss and slickness, they all practically, to me, are the same. Let's talk about my favorite Rinseless washes. These are my top 4 Rinseless washes to date, and I will tell you which ones they are. And it is the DIY Detail Rinseless, Owner's Pride Eco Wash, and what I really enjoy a lot is the McKee's N914 Wash and Wax. And this is the only one that I prefer that is a dual type of protection one, because it doesn't last as long. But that's about it. Why do I prefer those and the Drive Automotive Appearance Rinseless Wash? Why do I prefer those? Because they clean the media super well. They're super slick on the paint, and that's it. That's all I want. Normally I want pure cleaning Rinseless washes, and that's the only exception that I've used is the N914 Wash and Wax. Now, a couple of my subscribers have asked and commented, how do I feel about SiO2 Rinseless washes? I don't know. I just don't prefer them at all, because 90% of my customers that come in are wanting some type of, polishing step, ceramic coating, or I'm doing a decontamination step, so why am I going to use a Rinseless wash with protection? That's something I prefer to just push it on to my customers. Say, hey, if you wash your vehicle and you want to use a SiO2 protection one, use that, and that's it. But if you want better cleaning power, just use a pure Rinseless wash. Wash your vehicle and do 1 to 2 sprays with your detailer of choice, your drying aid of choice, and just dry the vehicle. That's it. It's just that much better and that much simple. So those are my Rinseless washes. Waterless washes. Which 2 are my favorite waterless washes? And I have 2 of them. But this is where things come into play. Which one you prefer? So the Maniac line has theirs that are dilutable, and then the DIY doesn't have one. Now, Ivan and Nick, if you're watching this video, please, if you guys come out with a gallon of this, it will be a fantastic value. But Maniac wins for most of it. But at the end of the day, these aren't supposed to be the most cost-efficient type of cleaning methods, and these are rare instances. So I don't knock DIY for selling a waterless wash that's not dilutable, right? Same way, but the same way Chemical Guys has a waterless wash that's not dilutable. Same, Masterson's detailing or whatever, Greg Masterson has one. The same thing with Adam's CS3, the one that has waterless with protection as well. So these are something that people need to understand, that it's okay. It is what it is. These are for these niche type of waterless washes. But these 2 are my favorite by far. What I used to use before a lot was the Meguiar's Ultimate Waterless Wash. That's what I used to use. But I prefer these 2. This one because it's dilutable. But at the same time, the DIY Detail Waterless, they just work great. But these are niche type of things. So if I'm going to go, these are my top 2. But if they come out with a gallon of this at an affordable cost, I'm pretty sure a lot of people will use it. But like I said, a lot of people don't want to dilute. A lot of people want something that's ready to use. But if DIY makes a gallon of this, I'm pretty sure it'll be a home run for sure. A lot of people don't want to sit here and dilute 16 ounces or 32 ounces. This is more for if you're a professional. But as a professional, how often am I really using a waterless wash? To be honest, the main reason why I use these waterless washes are for the door jams. So that's that for waterless washes. Clay towels. Let's talk about my favorite clay towel, and I only have two. Is the Ultra Clay Towel from the Rag Company and the DIY Detail Clay Towel. Now, the one that I really want to try out, and that's just because my brand in itself is the gold color, is the AutoForge Clay Towel. That's the one that I really want to try out because it has the gold one and I just want to use it. So I'm going to try that clay towel out. Once these two clay towels or one of them starts to diminish a lot, I'm going to order that one and use that one. And that's another thing I want to say too, is I buy my products and I use the products first before I venture off and use something else. So that's it. My favorite tar remover or tree and sap remover. So my favorite at the moment is the tree and sap remover from DIY Detail. And here's the crazy part. So I don't have a dedicated tar remover, but this works phenomenally well with tar, which is an off-label use, which DIY doesn't recommend, but I use the DIY Detail tree and sap remover. I use it to remove vinyl and adhesive and glue. And if you haven't seen that video, I have a short that is probably one of my most popular shorts where it has like 50,000 views on it, where I'm removing adhesive glue from duct tape that was on a used vehicle. I sprayed that on it, let it dwell, and lightly rubbed it off. It came off amazing. That is my favorite. And you can use it. I don't really use dedicated tar removers, but if I do need to use a tar remover, Griot's Garage, fantastic one. Fantastic tar remover. Tarmax is not the most effective from McKee's 37, but it works very well. So that's that. Oh, and one more. A staple that I use for these rare instances, and I still Tarex. So those are my favorite. Those are my top three. I have them in my garage. How often do I use them? Not that often. But when I do need them, I just grab whichever one because they work great. They just work great. That's about it. Glass cleaners. The only glass cleaner I like is Nítido. That's it. I've always said this before in all my videos, and if you watch my Nítido video and even on my comment section from before, a lot of people ask, what's my favorite glass cleaner? I say all the glass cleaners suck. I only use Rinseless Wash for glass cleaning. That's it until I found Nítido from Labo Cosmetica. Tire dressing. To me, tire dressings are all, bro, they're all the same. Just some leave a deeper shine than others. But in terms of longevity and of it lasting, it's gonna last 1 to 2 rainstorms. It's not that big of a thing, and that's just me being 100. I like all-in-one interior cleaners. Typically, for the interior, 90% of it, I use a rinseless wash. Why am I going to use anything else? I'm trying to be profitable. I'm going to use a rinseless wash for the interior. And once, say, they get an interior ceramic coating or interior ceramic, talking about interior ceramics, I prefer the DIY Detail interior ceramic. Why do I prefer it? I prefer that one over Geon and CarPro. Why? Because it's for all surfaces on the interior. I don't have to use Geon leather, then grab up and get fabric guard from, or smart guard from G-Technic, or go up and get fabric coat from Geon for a specific substrate. I just prefer the DIY Detail one. Use it for everything, and that's it. Easy to use. Now, if I'm going to maintain it, my favorite all-in-one interior cleaner is, at the moment, DIY Detail Interior Clean and Protect. I used to use Adams Polishes all-in-one, their interior cleaner, which was an all-in-one, but it wasn't as effective in cleaning that dirt and removing that dirt and grime as the DIY Detail Interior Clean and Protect. I don't have Lithium's Inner Clean. I don't have that. I haven't used those products, so I'm not going to speak on something that I have not tried. So at the moment, that's all I use is Interior Clean and Protect, or I use a rinseless wash if it gets slightly dirtier than I want it to be. But now if I'm doing a complete prep and everything, I'm going to use an APC to prep the entire vehicle. So hopefully I covered everything in terms of that. I'm pretty much done. So I pretty much covered everything that I really use in my detailing business. and hopefully I cleared a couple things. I'm sorry this video was long, and I really wanted to make this discussion because a lot of people always ask which company makes the best, chemicals, and hopefully this sums up the question is which ones you prefer, which ones you use, what type of environment are you using it in. If you're like me and you're a hybrid detailer and do most of the washes I use outside, I just prefer stuff that is either ready to use, safe to use in direct sunlight, and that's about it. If you're a professional like me now, in terms of being a professional, get something that's dilutable or find ways that you enjoy using and what companies you feel makes a cohesive, so that way you're not spending a bunch of money. But hopefully you guys found this video informative. I apologize if it was long, but hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and hopefully you guys found this video helpful. See you guys on the next one. Peace.